Welcome to the most forward-thinking, inspirational podcast in this reality. The show designed to challenge everything we've been taught. If you've ever felt there had to be more to life, more to existence, then you're listening to the right podcast. Time to open your mind and dive in. This is the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast.
And here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Today, there's a lot I want to talk about. Some of it's going to resonate, some of it may not. But I think if you're listening to this show, you have ideas on what you want to do. You have ideas on where you want to go, what you want to create, how you want to do things, or at least that you like the idea of doing things, creating things, seeing things. We're living in a world right now that is so heavily inundated with information. Or, I mean, honestly, absurd information. Because recently, or at least up until, let's say, 2010, information sources came from quote-unquote trusted places. And now we can't trust those places. And people are waking up and people are seeing things. And now we have what's wildly intentional is, I guess the term would be information overwhelm, where you can get info from absolutely anywhere. And your brain now has to deduce what it's going to do with it. Things were so much simpler when we thought we knew what we were doing. Our parents, for example, they knew that they had to have a job and they knew that they had to pay for their house, and it made sense. You go to work, you earn $50,000 a year. Your house's payment is $400 a month. Insurance, what have you. On that $50,000 a year, you're buying a house. You own a car. You are a one-income family. Maybe this wasn't our parents. Maybe this was our grandparents or something. I don't even know. 60s, 70s. Everything was affordable and everything made sense. And you felt progress. Well, today we don't have that. Today we have people that are working a million jobs or working one job really hard for no return. And we also have an entire grouping of people who believe they know absolutely everything and can't take advice or can't listen or can't learn from anyone. Sometimes I find myself in that category too, because it's because of my own ignorance. I think to myself, not that I'm too advanced, but I have a hard time talking about shapes and colors. I have a hard time with monotonous conversations. I have a hard time being spoken at as well, even though sometimes I tend to speak at others. I have a firm desire to constantly learn more about myself, and herein lies the conundrum. I get lost in the trap as well. I've had a couple of people tell me recently too that you speak with authority, and I'm glad that I do, in a sense. I'm glad that I speak with a tone that says, hey, maybe we should listen. But my message, I need to make this very clear, my message is not about me and what I want. It's also not about what the system wants. I used to firmly believe the statement, stand for something or fall for everything. I do not believe this anymore. I can't believe it, because if you stand for something, you limit the ability to see everything else. But if you look at everything else, you get lost in information soup. And none of it's truly worthwhile. Like if you look at all of the, I don't want to say creators, let's look at mainstream media. If you look at all of the news people that used to exist, they don't exist anymore. If you look at late night television, it used to exist. We used to love watching Leno and Letterman. And a few things have happened. We were asleep. Information was limited. Comedy was limited. We now have options galore to watch anything. And who the hell is actually watching Jimmy Fallon? He's been on the air for years. I've never watched a complete episode. Times change and we're not prepared for it. We don't understand it. We don't grab it. That's not to say that we're stupid. It's to say that we don't take the moments to look at what we're looking at, if that makes any sense. I apologize for the pauses too. I find myself doing a lot of thinking in the process of this. Normally I'm thinking while speaking, but this one's got me positioning it interestingly for myself, because there's so much that goes into simply being a human that we don't internally comprehend. The autopilot thing that we go on. Driving your car. How many times have you driven your car and you just wake up? You're like, where the fuck was I for the past 5 minutes, 10 minutes? How did I get home? I don't remember the drive home from work. This happens. And so when we find ourselves on autopilot, we're missing out on certain things, and we're also accepting things blindly. And it's interesting what happens when you start accepting things blindly, and when you start sort of dumbing down your energy, your essence, your desires, your wants, your needs. When you start listening to yourself, when you continually have to defend yourself, or when you continually feel the need to, I don't want to say attack, but the opposite of defend, when you're broadcasting your point, you find yourself in an information loop. And what I'm saying with all of this is there are so many people out there that could create something amazing. And for every creator that is creating something great, there's a plant out there that's creating something immaculate. And we think to ourselves, I'll never be that good. I'm not that good. And then we don't do it. And there's limitations that we put on ourselves with regards to everything that we're doing. Because of what we see, because of information overload, because even when we have a concise idea, we don't have the ability to follow through with it, or we don't have the desire, or we fear that we're not good enough. In all of my coaching clients, since the dawn of me coaching, the number one statement, question, thing to overcome is the idea and the mentality that no one will listen to me. What makes me different than anybody else? Why wouldn't somebody just go to somebody else? Some people call it imposter syndrome. Personally, it's a 100% statement. So of all of my clients over the course of years, 100% of them have had that issue. I even had it myself. Imposter syndrome is a major thing to get over. And why I'm saying all this is because when you really truly push yourself to do something, you realize that speaking, creating, whatever it is that you're doing, that's the reason for doing it. It's not for people. It's not to say, hey, I wonder who's going to listen to me. I wonder who I'm speaking to. And this is another thing too. When you're creating, you can't create for them. You're not creating for other people. You're creating for yourself. And so you can't say, I need to do this, I need to do that. I saw somewhere too, somebody say, or a meme or something say, don't create the trend. In other words, don't do what's hot. Go against it. And so there was a moment in time too where I kind of laughed because, you know, our Instagram account isn't as big as some of the people we came up with. And at the same time, a lot of the people we came up with had their accounts taken away from them for talking about flat earth, for talking about vaccines. Obviously, vaccines was ultimate book burning 101 when they were pushing that massive propaganda. I've made comments on people's accounts that would have got me banned a long time ago. Now I just get attacked by pink-hairs. And it's funny too, because whenever you look at somebody's account that attacks you for this sort of stuff, you truly realize they're bots. They've got either 0 followers or 1 or 2 followers, and they're following thousands. These are bot accounts. They have pink hair in their image. They have an agenda that they've been programmed and they don't even realize it. People don't understand when we say bot, even if your friend owns the account and they don't have the ability to think for themselves, well, you're talking to a real life bot. And a real life bot does internet bot things. But there are also internet bots not tied to any real account. It's a pretty wild scenario, and it sounds atrocious and egregious, but it didn't take long for the quote-unquote CIA, DEA, FBI, whatever you want to call the alphabet people, to completely overtake the television programming. Right? The invention of the TV was to get the idea into your head. And it was delivered with scarcity, much like a lot of the vaccines were delivered with initial scarcity. You can't have it. We don't have enough. Fear, fear, fear. Now you can have it. Now it's mandatory. Well. So the whole thing, and it's not just these small things. I'm just tying these things in, but the whole thing is a psychological operation. And all of it is designed to keep you small. In every aspect of what you're doing, this life is yours to do what you want with. And this is the most important takeaway from this whole podcast, is that instead of worrying about what can go wrong, we think about what can go right. We alter our tone. We change things up in such a way that we understand and comprehend that which we need from any given lesson. And society, I remember too, when I got started talking about this stuff, people would say, why do kids have to die over here? And this happened to me when I was a child, with all these horrible things. And I used to think, how can I justify this? How can I answer that? But then I realized that the people that I'm talking to will see those things and say, well, I'm aware of them. I understand them. I comprehend them. Everybody has a different soul purpose, soul contract, soul mission. The terrible things that happened to me specifically, purposely, for me, the things that happened to me, all of the horrible things that happened to me made me stronger. At first, they made me weaker. At first, I was a victim. In third dimensional reality, I was definitely a victim. Wasn't I a victim of circumstance? And what we don't do in that moment in time also is think about all of the things that we've done to other people or other situations or other places, or how we've just completely dismissed it. One of the things that we don't do as humans is understand that there are people out there that you may have touched, you may have made love you or what have you, and then you just dismiss them. And all you can focus on is the people that dismissed you. Right? So we don't give ourselves total leeway. We don't tell ourselves the entire story. So we've got a massive amount of war, as it were, focusing down on us. And this is a third dimensional vibration. This is a third dimensional reality. Once you truly forgive yourself for all of the things you did when you didn't know better, and it took the things that you did to teach you a lesson about you, that's the difference. Right? There's a lot of people out there that have done a lot of shady shit that are amazing people right now. And it's because of the shady shit that they did. So again, another core message to this entire podcast, like the whole show, all the episodes, the congruent theme is don't be a prisoner of your past. Every single thing existed to teach you the lessons you needed to learn. And when it comes back to that, your ability to create is amazing. But your desire to not look like a fool is much bigger. And the funniest thing is every single person feels this way. So who are you going to look like a fool in front of? The same people who are afraid to look like a fool themselves? What are you drawing your comparisons from? The perfectly polished people out there doing the things? That was a lot of P's. Thank God for this pop filter on this microphone. Nice orange pop filter. Pop video. Pop, pop. Sometimes I get lost in my own head and have a good time with it. There's so much that goes into all of this. And we, for the most part, humanity doesn't have the ability to see it all at the same time. We don't have the dexterity. I'm not even sure how I get the glimpses that I get. But I sure would love to know what it feels like to get all of the glimpses. Like that to me would be rock star material right there. And so what I'm saying is this. With all of the information that's out there and all of the ability to do the things that you want to do and all of the fear that you have inside you for not wanting to do the things or not being seen doing the things or not appearing to fail while you do the things, all of it adds up. I look at this account. I see how perfect it is. I know I can't live up to that. Well, maybe in time you can, but also it's not about living up to it. It's about speaking to your audience. It's about speaking to your own creativity. It's not about them. It's about you. And the more authentic you are with yourself, the bigger your audience will be. And you don't even need to market or advertise to it. Sure, it's a little bit of a slower grow, but enough people will listen to you. There's a huge difference between having 1,000 people pay attention to you and having 1 million followers. It's a massive difference. If you want to be a coach, the average fee for coaching is around $10,000. If you're trying to offset a $60,000 salary, that's 6 people that you need to be like, hey, this person's kind of onto something. And if you've got an offer, if you've got a gift, if you've got something that will solve a problem for people, you're amazing. If you don't have something that will solve a problem for people, if you simply just want to speak and create and do something, advertisers will pay you. If you don't want to run ads in your hometown, you don't have to. Right? This podcast runs ads in multiple different countries, but not in North America. This podcast pulls in $3,000 a month just simply because I sit down and hit record. And that price fluctuates, goes way up and way down. And it has. I mean, we even blew the podcast up. We got up to episode, 306? And we had to completely switch threads. I made a mistake. It happens. Foolish mistake. But we lost all of our momentum. And so at episode 306, we're rebuilding. And I'll tell you this right now. It took us a long time to get to the listenership that we did at 306. And we had to start over at 0. Because every single person that ever listened to this podcast went to the old thread. So whenever you researched it, all you saw was episode 306 forever. Because that's where the Google bots pulled you all. And so we've been rebuilding based on our morals right now. And we've lost thousands of listeners because they think that we just ended because I screwed up. You know, granted, a bunch came over and our numbers are growing every single day, but I'll tell you this right now. This is episode 363, I think. So 57 episodes later, and we're almost back up to where we were. That's not so much a statement of you guys existed and now you've rebuilt. It's a statement of audience. It's a statement of shift. It's a statement of properly tagging your episodes and your posts. It's a statement of being aware of what you're doing. It's also a statement of society being totally sick with everything. And I hearken back now to, people saying I stand for something or I speak with authority. My authority in my voice comes from the mistakes that I've made. It doesn't come from the message that I'm delivering, because the message that I'm delivering is not one of certainty or what's the term I'm looking for? It's not one of absolutes. I'm not going to tell you any one thing. I'm going to talk with you. I'm going to work with your brain. I'm going to say, hey, maybe have we seen this? Maybe have we looked at this? Maybe are we able to do this, that, and the other thing? I will say with absolutes, there's a ton of stuff that we aren't looking at. There are a ton of things that we don't even know to look for. There are a ton of defenses that we should have up, and there are a ton of fences that we should have down. And who we want to be and what we want to create and how we want to go about it is completely fluid. You can do whatever you like. If you know that there's an end result to what you're doing, if you know that there's an outcome, like how great would it be to all of you right now if you started a podcast? And again, I say this, podcasts are phenomenal. There's less than 1 million active podcasts in existence right now that are still being uploaded to weekly. So your message is very reachable. There's billions of people on Instagram, and people are still making solid Instagram accounts. Right? The algo keeps changing on Instagram. We used to get hundreds of likes per post. Now we're getting tons of traction, but nobody's engaging. And that speaks to humanity. That speaks to society. Nobody gives a shit anymore. They're just constantly stuck in doom scroll. And constantly being stuck in doom scroll leads to depression, anxiety, fear, lack, scarcity. It's all intentional. So you can't even look at the metrics and say, oh, we could have been doing better. I need to do more stuff to get more attention. No, man. You need to be authentic. You need to find your audience. You need to create for you. You need to understand that you creating for you will yield you the right people, will yield the right audience, will yield the right income. If your desire is to make money or help people or offset your 9 to 5, there are a million different avenues that you could take to do that. Tons. And the key is to find that stuff, to find your message, to find your likeness. Those who still listen to us after all these years are listening because we still resonate and we grow and adapt and change. We used to be heavily into conspiracy, but now understanding that conspiracy is just it's another trap. Like there's no proof in anything that was handed to us. In fact, everything that was handed to us is absolutely a lie. And all of the conspiracies were just a gateway to get you to understand that there's other possibilities. And freedom comes from thinking past the official narrative, thinking past the conspiracies, and being able to extrapolate from all of the proofs. Now that also becomes overwhelming, which again reintegrates the loop. We find ourselves drowning in information, which is overwhelming, which causes paralysis. We also find ourselves in a creative funk right now where a ton of people have been creating for a long time and they're thinking about quitting. And this is the moment in time where you're literally on the verge of breaking through. And sometimes when we've lived certain lives and done certain things and had certain aspects and avenues and adventures, we think that there's no way of us ever getting out past any of that because that's the habit and that's the pattern that we've formed. But the truth is, through adversity, through tension, and through creation, you become a different version of you. So to everyone that's thinking about quitting right now, I say you're about to break through. Do not quit. You got this. Adapt as best you possibly can to maintain your creation. To those of you who are flying along, save your money. Save your money because sometimes it comes and sometimes it goes. And when it goes quickly. It's very weird. But it's not about the money. It's not about having everything. It's not about losing everything. It's about experiencing the journey. And this podcast is simply about creating. Understand that it's time for you to create. And to those who ever started this road or desire or want, to those who it's been getting louder for, keep pushing. To anyone who needs help or ideas or circulation, reach out to us. info@the Mental Mastery Alliance. Hit us up on Instagram, instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Send us a text, 647-338-1265. If you need help and assistance in any of this, we're here for you. We're going to be building out new tiers, more affordable programming, more affordable clips, things that can help you, things that if you already resonate with the program and the product of the Mental Mastery Alliance, you're going to love. Because it's no fluff, it's no bullshit. I love the idea of being hands-on with absolutely everybody. I want to talk to everyone that comes through and that listens. And if you've got something you want to do, let's collaborate. Let's get together. Let us help you. We do it all over here. We take an idea and we turn it into an earnable product. You want to offset your job, you want to make $120,000, you want to make $250,000, we got programs. You want to make $3,000 a month, we got programs. We got ideas. We've got paths, blueprints, and plans. And we're having a lot of fun with it. We've been pulled back on one-on-one coaching. I'm doing my best to transition out of it. But I still love it. And for the right people, I can't wait to work with you. So if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, send us an email. Adam@the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let's help everyone help everyone. And that frequency grows and expands. And that's the shit that makes all of this completely worthwhile. Ladies and gentlemen, in the infamous words of Red Green, keep your stick on the ice.
We really hope you enjoyed this episode of the Mental Mastery Alliance podcast. Stay connected with us directly through the mentalmasteryalliance.com. You can also join the discussion on Instagram at instagram.com/the Mental Mastery Alliance. Let the team know you're listening by using the hashtag TMMA or tagging us at the Mental Mastery Alliance. To have your voice heard on the show, leave a voicemail or send a text to 647-338-1265. Long distance charges may apply. If you love us, leave us a review. If you hate us, you spend your time in weird ways, but also leave a review. Every review on iTunes tickles the algorithm, helping us grow. Until next time, unity over division. This concludes the most surreal portion of your day.
You got it, Pontiac.